No, let's jump it off. No, I'm actually really serious this time. Welcome back to another episode of From Officiating Born. This time we're going to talk about jump ball mechanics. The reason this is important because jump ball mechanics are how we start most of our games. It is also when we start most of our extra period or overtime periods. So let's discuss how we do a jump ball mechanic as a crew for both two-person and three-person mechanics.
Jump ball basics.
Let's show some diagrams.
The referee on the assigned game can also designate someone other than the referee to toss the ball. This actually should be rare, and actually I am an official who doesn't like to do this and has never done this because I like to take responsibility for my tosses. But this is personal preference and also could be based off of what kind of procedures that your assigner, supervisor, or maybe even conference has. But by rule and by practice, we can designate a tosser. Now, one thing that can be a factor in tossing, there are officials that have injuries or certain kind of shoulder or arm injuries where it might be difficult for you to toss. But as a general rule, I think if you are assigned the referee and you're doing all the referee duties, tossing should be something that should not be a problem. The referee or the tossing official must, if they are going to toss the ball, must toss the ball upwards between the two jumpers. In other words, it should not go at an angle or go away from one or go away from the center of where you have tossed the ball. So basically the toss must be a right angle plane to the sidelines. As a general rule, a toss should be higher than both jumpers are able to jump, but usually 10 feet or the height of the rim is acceptable. And again, if you toss it and no one touches it, theoretically it should drop between the jumpers. If the toss requirements that are not met, as I stated on the previous slide, you one or umpire one, either in a two-person or a three-person game, should call back the toss. Then we should start the process all over again as if nothing else happened if we do an incorrect toss or a bad toss. Again, we do not have this happen very often, partly because I think we do not want to start the game on a bad note. So we allow this to take place oftentimes incorrectly and don't retoss or re-jump the jump ball. Jump ball positioning.
Let's do some jump ball positioning for two-person and three-person mechanics.
Let's start out with a two-person game or two-person positioning for the jump ball. U1 will be placed right in front of the table, should be at the division line, and facing the referee into the court. The referee, or the tosser in this case, should be facing the table and tossing the ball in between both players. One of the things that we always want to do during a jump ball or before we begin a jump ball is to make sure that the teams are going in the proper direction that they warmed up in or that they are to start the first half. Always remember, team choice is always based off of the bench location, and they are going to the opposite side of the court where their bench is located. So in other words, team A in this case is going to the right, okay? They're going away from their bench. Team B is going also away from their bench, and this should be the size in which they warmed up and started the game. If this is not done properly, it has rules consequences. So just bottom line, make sure that they are going into the right direction and that you don't discover after 2 or 3 minutes that they're going in the wrong direction, because then you have to get into a rule book situation where maybe you have to cancel points or count points, depending on when if you discover this. So make sure that they're going in the right direction. In a three-person setup, U1 is placed somewhere on table side, probably between the 3-point line and the 28-foot mark. U2 is placed about the same but opposite side of the court, kind of at another angle away from U1. The reason that this is important is because as we get into our positioning and after we have tossed the ball, we are going to set up in a specific situation. So this is how we set up. U1's responsibility are the same really in two-person or three-person. U2 has some additional responsibilities, watching the other players, not necessarily the toss alone, and watching to make sure other players don't violate as their primary. But basically, this is our setup for a three-person game. As stated in the two-person example, again, we just want to make sure that the teams are pointed or going in the proper direction. So as this diagram shows, A would be going opposite their bench, and B would be going their opposite bench. Again, nothing has changed because of the system that we are using. During an extra period, or what we oftentimes call affectionately an overtime, players then go in the bench that they were going in the second half. For those that do not understand, the extra period is considered an extension of the second half. So as they flip during half, nothing would change. We do not start switching sides and going back and forth as you would maybe in some other sports based off of the quarter that you are using or the half that you are going. So in this case, Team A would be going towards their bench, and Team B would be going towards their bench. And again, if this is improperly set, then we also have to invoke certain rules to correct this, which can be a little bit complicated and something we probably do not want to deal with. This is a three-person example, just the same setup, just the difference is that this is three-person. Jump ball responsibilities.
Now, what is our responsibilities as each official during a jump ball, and how do we make sure that we cover the court properly? Let's get into our jump ball coverage responsibilities and what each of us are supposed to do to make sure that we adjudicate a jump ball properly.
Now, I kind of touched on what are the primary responsibilities of each official. Okay, U1 in a two-person or a three-person game is primary on whether the toss is legal and starts the clock properly on a legal touch. Now, let me make it very clear. A legal touch does not mean after the jumpers touch the basketball. It is when one of the jumpers, if not both, touch the basketball. The clock should start then. Do not wait until ball's possessed or touched by another player if the toss has not officially ended. U2, at least in a three-person game, should observe all the action of the non-jumpers. In other words, if there's a violation on the circle, or even in some cases, if the non-jumper or jumpers violate or come through the circle, and it's a violation if it took place before the jump ball had ended, U2 can also rule on a violation in this case. But the bottom line is, all officials are responsible for violations. So if it's that bad of a toss, U2 please come in and correct the situation.
Let's start with an example of how to properly start the clock by U1. The referee goes to toss the ball, and U1 starts the clock when the ball is legally tipped by one or both jumpers. This is how you do not properly start the clock. In this example, the referee will be tossing the ball in the air, And once it is touched, the U1 does not start the clock until the players have possession of the ball after the tip. The clock should start always on the legal tip. U1 here improperly waits until there's possession by either team. The first legal touch is when the ball is touched by one of the jumpers during the jump ball.
After the jump ball is completed, where do the officials go? So let's start with the referee or the tossing official. It's pretty simple. The referee or the tossing official just simply waits for the players to clear. That means the jumpers around them and also players that could be possibly coming in their direction. There is absolutely no reason to be in a hurry to get out or vacate the area. Just wait till everyone clears, then go to your next spot.
Umpire 1 and umpire 2 will go in the direction that the ball is coming, and they will become the lead. The opposite official, or the official in which the ball is not going in their direction, will become the center official in this case. So just make it simple. If the ball is going in the direction of U1, U1 will become the lead. If the ball is going in the direction of U2, U2 will become the lead. The other official will become the center. And in a two-person game, just keep it simple. U1 will become the lead the majority of the time. This is an example of the referee movement in which I was discussing. The ball's tossed up. A4 in this example gets the ball. And as the referee, you should wait till all the players clear your area. So as long as they clear your area and you wait for them, then you move to your next position to referee the play as the trail official in this case. This is what the jump ball looks like in practice. The ball is tipped, the referee waits until the players clear, then he goes to officiate the play as the trail official, hustles to get in position. The U2 in this case becomes the lead official, and the U1 becomes the center official, both hustling to get into position. Let us start with a two-person example, and in this diagram we will be going to the right.
So if you are tossing the ball and now possession, in this case, is going to our right as of the diagram. Once we toss the ball, then U1 would go and become the lead official in this case, and the referee would wait for the players to clear, and then come and be the trail official opposite side of the court of the U1.
In this example, we'll do a three-person diagram where the ball is going to the right. The referee tosses the ball, and as the ball goes to the U2 side, they will become the lead official. U1, who the ball's not going to their side, will become the center official. The referee in this case should wait till the players clear, as I stated, and then go to their position as the trail official. Again, this is an example of if we're going to the right, or in this case, U2's side in a three-person mechanic. Back to a two-person example, going to the left. The referee tosses the ball, and as the ball clearly goes to the left and is possessed, U1 will again retain being the lead official, and the referee will wait for the players to clear and go be the trail official. In three-person, nothing has changed again. We're just going to the left side. So as the ball gets possessed and we're going to the left, U1 would be the lead official in this case. U2, because the ball was going away from them, would become the center. And as we have stated, the referee will wait till players clear, then go officiate as the trail official. Nothing has changed, just different side of the court.
Referee becoming the lead official.
Now, I covered the situations that are usually the most common situations when it's come to covering a jump ball. Now, I want to give you the one time when it really doesn't kind of work out exactly the way I showed before. When does the tosser or the referee that tossed the ball become the lead official? Let me give you an example. We will start with a two-person example where the referee or the tossing official can potentially become the lead official. So the ball is tossed up, and as the ball goes in a direction to where the referee cannot officiate the play, so U1 must go and referee the play. Maybe there's a possibility of an out of bounds, maybe a violation of some kind, and they go to officiate the play. As there's possession that has once been gained, there's no out of bounds, there's no violation, there's no foul. The referee will then wait till players clear and go take the lead position in this case. Once it is clear there is possession by the team going in the other direction away from where U1 went to referee the play, then the referee will become the lead and U1 will become the trail. Now let's do the three-person example where the referee or the tossing official becomes the lead official. In this case, the referee tosses the ball. The ball goes to the side of U2. Again, similar reason, U2 has to go and officiate this play. It is clear maybe whether there could be possession or not, maybe a violation. And then once possession is gained, if the referee recognizes this and they also wait for players to clear, they can begin to take a position as the lead as the ball comes up the court. In this case, or this example, U1, because they're already on that side of the court, would become the center official. Plain and simple.
Methodology of the referee's toss.
Okay, now that I covered the positioning and some basic responsibilities, what is the methodology of us doing a jump ball as a referee or a tossing official? There are many philosophies on what you should do and how you should do a jump ball properly, whether it's one or two hands or how you get into between the players to toss the ball. There really is not a right and wrong completely across the board that this applies to everyone, but I'm going to give you some things that I do and that has made me a consistent tosser over the years. Now, your technique might be personal and something that you need to work on and what you are comfortable with, because there are officials who are not very comfortable tossing the basketball during the jump ball. But this is definitely a technique that we need to work on as officials to get much better at this particular technique. Let's go over some steps.
Your toss can be with one or two hands. This is actually personal preference. There is no right or wrong other than if the method that you are attempting to do is consistent, and that's the one you should do. Some officials are uncomfortable with one or the other type of method. I am actually a two-handed toss referee. That is what I do. It is most comfortable that I've been doing for years. It should be consistent in a way that you toss the ball so that it's not either not high enough or off center, as I stated earlier that it should not be. We should practice our toss multiple times over the course of the year or during the off season to kind of get an idea of what we need to do consistently, because really this should not be something you have to think much about when you're doing it. But the best method of all is to make sure that the players do not steal the tip or violate during the jump ball. So you need to come up with a technique that is consistent and does not put you in a position where you have to call some kind of violation or your partners have to call a violation before the game starts.
I'm going to reuse this example of the jump ball In this case, the tip is stolen or the ball does not reach to the highest point before it is touched. So in this case, the official just tosses the ball up, and clearly, as you can see, the ball does not get to its highest point, and the tappers or jumpers touch the ball, which should have been called a violation. In this case, there was no violation. As you can see, he tosses it up, and before it reaches its highest point, maybe blue gets to it first. This should have been a violation and should have been called such at the time. Now, here is an example of a toss method that I use. I use a two-handed toss. And one of the things that I do is I get in between the players and I bounce the ball on the floor to kind of give myself some space and to maybe prepare them for the toss. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. As you see, I have tossed the basketball and also got ready to get in position for the next play. This is how it should be done. This is another illustration of my jump ball technique with two hands. I get in between the two players, I bounce the ball to make sure that I have enough space and that they're not crossing the line or over the line up against each other, and then I toss the ball. Now, I will say this, I bounce the ball is never exactly the same every time. I may bounce the ball 2 times, 1 time, 10 times, depending on how comfortable I am with the space that I have to toss the ball. I also do not telegraph my toss by telling them when it's coming up, or they really cannot figure out exactly when it is going up, and it prevents often stealing of the tip or a violation by either team. Also, with two hands, I'm under a lot of control of the basketball, and again, this is what is most comfortable for me. This is just another example of a toss that I believe that is pretty successful. And you see, as the referee, I wait for the players to clear or the majority of the players to get beyond me, then I go in position to referee the next play in the half-court set. One last example. Some final notes and some final tips. Number 1, never do a toss with the whistle in your mouth. For one, I can guarantee at some point in your career you are going to get hit, slapped, knocked upside the head, or contacted even in a slight way. When that happens, the last thing you want to have is something attached to your teeth so that when you are hit, your teeth go with them. So never start a jump ball as the tossing official with the whistle in your mouth. Also, as the referee or the tossing official, or even the other officials, don't be in such a hurry to leave the spot. Make sure you know when there's possession or you know why you're moving with a purpose. Then go be ready to officiate the next play after you have finished with the first play. And even though I did not cover any violations for the most part in this presentation, it is the best time to be alert, be ready to officiate when you have a jump ball. You do not want to have a violation take place at that particular time or not be aware of what the possession arrow or things of that nature when you start the game. So most of all, just be alert for what could happen, because anything could happen at the start of a game. Your goal should be to start the game off right, because if it goes bad early on, trust me on this, it will go bad after that point. Now, I hope this helps you kind of get some understanding of what we do with jump ball from a mechanic standpoint. I didn't want to get into too many rules at this time because I will cover this at a later video. But most of all, I hope this helps you. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to share the video, share it with your local association or with other groups. Also, subscribe to the channel so that you can get more content from Officiating Born and myself. Thank you. Have a good day.